Hello, dear listener, and welcome to the first/third episode of So Not Critics. This is our new name. We switched from Revelry and Chill because we kind of just decided we didn't like that, and now we're on audio-only format. So this is the official new name of the show, So Not Critics, because we are so not critics. But we're going to sort of try to be anyway. We're going to talk about some interesting movies today. And of course, I'm joined by everyone in this room. First, by Jake.
What's up?
What's up, Jake?
What's up?
Hello, Carolyn.
Hello.
Hey.
My lovely girlfriend, Haley.
Sup?
And the infamous Daniel, as always.
Let's crack it, little bitches.
So, today we're talking about some interesting movies. Kind of some, like, time paradox type movies. First of which is called Predestination. Do we want to talk about Predestination first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second one's called Looper, but we'll get to that one in a bit. So, one of you want to run me a synopsis of what Predestination is all about?
Sure. It was released in 2014, directed by the Spierig brothers, Michael and Peter, written by them as well, and based on a short story, All You Zombies, by Robert A. Heinlein. However the hell you say that. Starring Ethan Hawke, Sarah Snook, and Noah Taylor. The synopsis we stole from IMDb
Like you do.
goes, for his final assignment, a top temporal agent must pursue the one criminal that has eluded him throughout time. The chase turns into a unique, surprising, and mind-bending exploration of love, fate, identity, and time travel taboos.
Mind bending.
Mind-bending.
It's a mind. It's a
Mind
bender.
fuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, it is.
Well,
Now-
and I think as far as picking this as a topic for this week, you and Daniel have been talking about this movie to all of us for a long time, so you guys are kind of the experts.
Yeah, I love this fucking movie.
Yeah.
I watched it again last night. It's fucking crazy.
Did you watch it last night?
Yeah, well, I finished it because I was about halfway through when I fell asleep
Oh,
the night
okay.
before. So I just picked up where I left off and kept going from there.
Gotcha.
But-
Yeah, you told me about this movie for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And you were saying it was like one of those movies that you thought about for
Yeah, I was thinking about it for weeks.
weeks and weeks after you
After
saw
I
it.
watched it.
It does
It's-
kinda
It's fucking weird.
lay a
fucking,
seed in your brain a little bit.
It's a
Yeah.
weird fucking
Yeah.
You
movie.
kind of like
So, but since we're spoiling it, so
Oh,
the whole
yeah.
movie is following. You start following Ethan Hawke at the beginning of the movie, and he's trying to defuse a bomb from the Fizzle bomber, and he's pretty much a time traveler that's going through and just blowing shit up throughout time. And Ethan Hawke's been chasing him for years, and you can only do his job as a temporal agent for so many times, because after you do so many jumps, it starts to fuck with your head. So he's coming to the end of his time, and he's not going to be able to catch this guy. So they send him on his final mission, which is to go find this other character, John. So he meets up with him at a bar in 1970, and John tells Ethan Hawke's character, what's his name? Did they
Yeah,
ever say?
what the
Well, I
fuck?
mean,
Oh,
I guess
hey,
I
yeah.
guess his
Has,
name
like-
is actually John.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the same fucking
They are
guy.
both
It's the
John.
same fucking guy.
Yeah.
Did they ever actually mention his name?
No,
because his name is
isn't-
John.
Yeah.
Well, because you find out he's John.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I
Of
think
course.
all references before he's just the bartender.
Yeah, that's true. He doesn't really have a name.
Yeah, they never really mention him by
Yeah.
name. They just talk to him, or he interacts with people. And they never say his name. Kind of like in Fight Club, they never say.
Yeah.
What's the fucking dude's name?
Tyler Durden.
No, the other dude.
Does he have another name?
What's the fucking?
Do they
actor?
give him a name?
I don't
What's the
think so.
actor's
Edward
name?
Norton.
Edward Norton.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ed
Norton,
never.
yeah.
Edward Norton never has a name
Yeah.
Because he's Tyler
Because he is
Durden.
Tyler Durden.
Yeah.
They never say his name throughout the whole fucking movie. And in the credits, he's called Jack.
Oh, that's true.
Because he says through the whole movie, "I am Jack's rage. I am,"
Right.
That's right.
But
That's right.
yeah, similar to that. They never mention his movie in Predestination because he is the fucking same guy.
And that's the
so
twist,
the person he
yeah.
goes back in time to 1970 to talk to, and the guy tells him his story, how he was actually born a woman, with as a hermaphrodite, right? When you have
Yeah.
both
Yep.
fucking functioning organs of a male and female. So he goes back in time, or he's talking about how he was born a woman, and then he meets somebody that he falls in love with, not realizing it, They never think he'd ever fall in love, but he ends up falling in love, has sex, ends up pregnant, and then, gives birth, and in that birth, it complicates it, fucks up his female parts, so they turn him into a man. Turns out the man that he had sex with was himself, sent back in time by himself.
To give birth to himself.
Yeah, to give birth to himself. Like, what the fuck, dude? Movie's so fucking nuts.
The female and male lovers, the mother and father, the child, the time-traveling agent,
and
the bartender, and the fizzle bomber
are all the same person.
Are all the same goddamn person.
It's so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It gives a whole new meaning to go fuck yourself.
You're right.
Right? That's what I kept thinking the whole time I watched this movie. I'm like, wow, man, that's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
You can literally go back and fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Well, and the plot line of it is a little complex, so if you haven't seen it, I would suggest watching it, because it's kind of hard
if you
to
haven't seen
explain.
it, why are you listening to this?
Yeah.
Listening to that whole synopsis that we just gave was like, what?
Yeah. So I want to know if everybody liked it and why you liked it or why you didn't like it.
Yeah. Haley, what did you think?
I really, really enjoyed it, but I like movies that at the end where it just sits and resonates with you for days afterwards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because after I think I had seen this before you did, right? And then we sat down and watched it together, and we were like searching YouTube videos and shit to like, really solidify what it was all about, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think that there's definitely some, like, gaps of where things don't really make sense. Like, okay, so they can do complete facial reconstruction surgery, but they can't save her lady parts? Like, what's... There's
It was a different time.
It was a different timeline, yeah. But no, that's a good point, at least for the storytelling aspect.
Yeah.
Like, they turned this woman into Ethan Hawke.
And they also wouldn't save his lady parts, because the whole idea is that that whole thing has to cycle. They say the snake eating itself for eternity.
Yeah, snake eating his tail.
This whole cycle is just going to keep continuing because of the way it fucking loops back around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one big Ouroboros, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of like the conclusion we came to after we had watched it, because Haley and I both really liked it, and I hadn't seen it for a while. But a lot of the explanations, like just to solidify everything, came to that same point that a time paradox is just that. It's a paradox where it just keeps going and going and going, and so to find the origination point
is impossible.
Right, is impossible. Like, sort of, I don't know if this is still really a thing, but the whole, like, did the chicken come before the egg?
Yeah. Well, and I did a little
They
bit...
mentioned that in the movie, too.
Yeah.
It was the rooster.
The rooster.
I did a little bit more research as far as temporal paradox, which is like the time paradox, and there's a furthering that is called a causal loop, which is basically that's what they call it when there is no origination point.
Right.
And basically, a causal loop, I have a definition in my notes. A causal loop is a paradox of time travel that occurs when a future event is the cause of a past event, which in turn is the cause of the future event. Both events then exist in space-time, but their origin cannot be determined. A causal loop may involve an event, a person or object, or information. The term bootstrap paradox, predestination paradox, or ontological paradox are sometimes used in fiction to refer to a causal loop.
Okay. So it's the ultimate
you
causal
lost me
loop.
like halfway through that.
Quantum physics. But that basically it's a space-time paradox that that scientists believe probably is existing within quantum physics.
Huh.
But I thought it was interesting in the definition I found that another word for it is a predestination paradox, which is interesting because that's the title of the movie. So I think it's not even so much just the temporal paradox. This is a movie about a causal loop that just keeps going and going and going. Mm-hmm. And you lose track of where it started or why. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't ever end.
Yeah. Did you have something to say, Jake? Did I interrupt you?
No.
Okay.
I'm sitting here thinking about this fucking movie.
Yeah, it's...
God, it's like you find yourself trying to figure out where the hell this shit started or what started it.
Or why.
Why the fuck... Give me... And I can't gleam an egg of like I'm at a wall. Like, why the fuck? How did this happen? And who's this fucking guy just watching it too? What the fuck was that guy?
The guy watching
his boss or whatever.
Oh,
Just kill this dude.
Yeah.
Just kill him. This is suffering.
Do you know what that guy's name was, Daniel? The fucking guy in the suit.
The mustache dude.
Yeah.
I got it pulled up here.
Yeah. We'll look that up and we'll see what his name was. But he was a constant.
Mr. Robertson.
Yeah.
That's what they call him, is Mr. Robertson the whole time.
Okay.
And there's parts of the movie where you're like, is that him too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you realize, you see how his whole life play out. But then they have mentioned that there are 11 or 12 temporal agents. 11 temporal agents in total, right?
Yeah.
So what some viewers have been thinking is that each temporal agent is just another variation of that loop.
Yeah.
I think once this temporal time travel BS was fucking invented, it immediately caused these temporal loops. And I think they're just monitoring these temporal
Well, he
agents.
is the fizzle bomber, so
Yeah.
if they just killed him at the start, wouldn't that stop the fizzle bomber? Since he is the fizzle bomber,
You would think.
But all the other pieces of him
Still
are already
exist.
there.
Yeah.
So they could kill the agent, let's say that. But if it is an infinite loop and all of these different timelines already exist, then
He's
the,
already
then the
moving
man and the
through
woman, the man and the woman have already fallen in love, right? And there's another version of himself that has taken their baby. Remember that?
Yeah.
And he puts it on the doorstep.
he's taking himself.
Yeah.
He kidnapped his own self.
Like and that's where I think things get fuzzy too, because if you're talking about an infinite loop or some of these all these terms you came up with that I am not familiar with.
Causal loop is
Causal
really
looping.
There it is.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that imply infinite timelines as well? Mm-hmm. And that's where I start to get a little.
Well, it's the idea of a multiverse, which is basically what the study of quantum physics is.
Oh, so that's what you meant. Okay.
Yeah. But basically, all of those timelines exist within the universe, which has infinite dimensions. There is no proof as to how many dimensions there are or if there's a limit. And, that quantum physics is the study of time and space intermingling with each other and how that works. And we don't it's beyond our understanding scientifically.
Sure,
That's why it all it's so convoluted and it's really hard to understand. I don't know if humans are to that level yet.
No, not at all.
But that's the idea, is that all of these loops exist within the multiverse that is one universe. It just has layers. It has structure as opposed to just being a plane of existence. There's more than one.
Right.
So,
but it's just interesting to make those speculations. Like, couldn't they just kill that agent and then it would eventually end?
I don't think so.
Because, then you have to question, like, well, what about all these other people that are him? Like, that's why this story was so unique to me.
yeah.
Is it was presented in a way where he was not only intermingling with time and events that happen, but he was intermingling with other versions of himself, like past versions of himself, and then making a baby with one of them, which is
With
fucking
himself.
crazy.
Which is him.
Yeah.
That's what I was like. Would you go back and fuck yourself?
No.
Even if I was one of these people that went through like a sex change or whatever, and hers was sort of like forced on her because it was like the medical conditions or her medical conditions and their ability to help her with that.
Yeah.
So it was kind of forced on her.
Which is so against HIPAA guidelines to not ask her permission first, by the way.
This is a different
Yeah,
universe.
what the hell?
Different universe. They have time travel in 1981.
That's true. We don't know if we don't.
We probably do.
Nah, because what's his ass? Stephen Hawking threw a time traveler party, and he announced it the day after, and nobody showed up. So, you never heard about that?
No.
Yeah,
Hold on.
What?
He announced.
yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how it went.
Walk me through this here. He announced a what kind of party? A time travel party. But he announced it the day after.
Yeah.
He was trying to get a time traveler to come to him And like, is that?
I'm just trying to
right?
understand what he was attempting to accomplish here. You know what I'm saying?
That's fucking ridiculous.
We can come back to that if you're gonna look it up, but yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
you know.
In the film, you don't know who the Fizzle bomber is until the very end, and they don't seem to know either. So how would they be able to kill him and solve it because they don't know who he is?
Well, I think that's what they're sort of Ethan Hawke as the agent is trying to figure out. And in all of these other parallel mirroring multiverse universes, they all don't seem to know for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And this was actually a point I wanted to bring up too, because it's sort of a part of the movie I was hazy on and still kind of am. But what was the reason for him turning into the Fizzle Bomber? I remember there was a reason.
He claims he was saving more lives than he was taking.
Yeah, when he's talking to himself in the laundromat at the very end, he's got that book of what the people he blows up with the bombs do in the future if he doesn't blow up where they are. And like, there's like a huge train accident, I think, or these people are catalysts.
Truck driver that's driving drunk or something and ends up releasing a bunch of gas or something, kills a bunch of people.
Kills like millions of people.
Yeah. These people that he's killing in these bombings are catalysts in the future for other disasters that happen. So he thinks in blowing them up initially, he's saving those other people, but isn't aware of how many people he's killing in the bombings, which is part of their argument, because he's like, well, you killed 11,000 people in this bombing.
But he saved 100,000.
Yeah. So you start to question, well, is he right, or is, you know what I mean?
It's like the argument, would you kill a baby to save 100 people?
Yeah.
Right.
Or would you kill one, or would you save one and let 100 people die?
Yeah.
And he starts to think in that way, that like weird justification, because he's jumped so many times.
He's lost his mind. Yeah. Essentially.
Because you can totally tell by the end, he's like lost his fucking hair.
He's like Ted Kaczynski in the future.
Looks like he smoked a couple rocks.
Yeah. He's been doing meth or something for a while.
Yeah.
He smoked a couple of rocks.
Yeah, well, aren't his teeth all fucked up or something?
Yeah.
What is with Ethan Hawke in these fucked up movies?
I don't know. He's great at being a fucked up character.
He does some really nice movies that are like romantic comedies and like, oh yeah, I'm just a good looking dude. And then every once in a while, he's like, I'm gonna blow your fucking brain up with this movie. God.
Yeah, I thought this kind of rivaled his performance in Training Day.
I love Training Day though. It's a great movie.
Awesome.
He was flexing
in Training
hard.
Day. You ever seen Training Day?
Yeah, it's
Haley?
a good movie.
Denzel.
I'm kicking some serious ass.
What? He was in the first Purge too.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We ought to watch Training Day if you're hazy on it, babe.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, Training Day is the shit.
Denzel is a fucking twisted, crooked piece of shit cop.
In fucking
But he's
Echo
awesome
Park
in it.
Wait, yeah, no, I've seen it. I remember. I remember.
Shit on me.
Yeah, so I thought this movie was great. I thought like the way they sort of presented the loop and the way they left a lot of things a mystery. Like, I think that's just good storytelling. And they kind of avoided that whole, like, I remember the first time I watched it when I knew that the Fizzle Bomber was this sort of like looming villain. And through the whole, like, I always hate that tactic.
Yeah.
Like, with introduce the character super late, you know, and like, oh, okay, so now I'm supposed to fucking be afraid of this villain, or I'm supposed to care about this character.
Yeah.
But they avoided that problem because it was him the entire time, and I thought that was pretty brilliant, you know.
Did you know
it's
it was
funny because
him?
they talk about the Fizzle Bomber the whole time, you know, the beginning of the movie, and then when he goes on his last mission, he starts talking to John in the bar, and they like introduce John, you know, pretty kind of late in the movie. The movie's not very long. It's only an hour and 36 minutes.
And a half?
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah, it's an hour and 36 minutes long. So you're like, oh shit, is this the Fizzle Bomber? And it is, but not in the way you think.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the guy talking to him, the barkeep, is also the Fizzle Bomber. You're like, What the fuck, dude?
And I think Jake and I knew it was all the same person really early on.
I kind of.
I had
picked
my
up on
suspicions.
that. Yeah. I
was not all
20,
that surprised.
30 minutes in, I was kind of like, okay.
You knew Ethan Hawke was the same guy as fucking.
All of it.
I started to
Yeah.
kind of go, oh, ooh, this is gonna get more fucked up, and they're all.
You knew he went back in time and fucked himself.
I gathered that.
Yeah, I kind of
Yeah.
saw what was going down, but I don't know.
It was still good. I
wasn't
just
sure.
I had it figured out pretty early on.
Was there a particular scene or a particular point that sort of...
Not in particular, just like the vibe, like the way they interacted with each other, I guess.
It does kind of seem like they know each other.
Yeah.
In some strange way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I
they
think
know each
like
other.
I think in the time frame, like specifically when they're in the bar, the new man and former woman, John, doesn't know Ethan Hawke.
No.
But so this is another interesting thing about this movie is who knows about who. Does Ethan Hawke know who John is?
I think so.
they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He's there to recruit
do.
himself for
Yeah.
his job.
That's right.
That's how he gets into the job.
Another thing that I thought was kind of strange, though, is that John doesn't seem to recognize himself as the person he fell in love with when he was distinctively talking about how handsome he was.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of a hole for me. It's like, because, he recruits him and stuff and sends him back. He knows what happened to him.
Yeah.
So I was confused as to why he didn't figure it out before himself as a woman still is standing right in front of him. Like, how did that not click in his brain? You know what I mean?
He knew. Like, are you talking about when he first goes back with Ethan Hawke?
Yeah, and he's
With
like,
the
yeah, I'm gonna
intention
get
of
him. I'm
killing
gonna
the
get
guy
him.
that got him pregnant.
Yeah, and then he acts all surprised, going, "Oh, like duh, it happened to him already." So how does he not remember what that guy looks like?
Yeah, like how does he not look in the mirror and be like, I fucked you already?
Yeah.
He says,
Like, if you're having
he
sex with
says-
someone,
he
you
says
know what they
early-
look like. Well,
Depending on
hopefully.
the amount of alcohol you've had.
Yeah, but they haven't, so...
he says early in the movie that he doesn't even remember what he looked like. He can't even really remember anything.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
Oh,
before
okay.
he was,
Okay.
a guy.
Okay,
He didn't remember anything about his like past life as a woman. He, like
Okay.
blocked it all out.
okay.
As John, he says that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When he first starts the story in the bar, when he's talking to the barkeep.
Okay. That could be a pretty important
Yeah.
thing then, right? Because as we were just saying, like,
Well, I mean, that's pretty traumatic.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
Fucking going
Yeah.
from a woman to a man, fucking
Against your will.
yeah, having a baby and then the baby gets kidnapped and shit, and you block all that shit out.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
gonna remember you had sex with yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror after becoming a man.
Yeah. But no, that was a weird part for me too, because when
Yeah.
they go and sit on that bench together, or the little outdoor cafe, whatever it is, like, he knows who he's looking at.
Yeah.
But he falls in love with himself anyway.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real
You got-
narcissistic,
Yeah.
egotistical, weird thing to do.
They
you know?
repeated that quote from Abraham Lincoln or whatever at the same time, and they're like, "Oh,
Well, he says it.
yeah.
He
What's
says it
up?
at that point. He knows that
Yeah.
he's already fucked himself.
yeah,
He's like, well, fuck it. I already did it.
let's do
You
it
know,
again.
make it a
Oh,
little
well.
easier to do, I guess. You know, like, well, shit, dude. Technically, it's already happened.
Let's ride this loop to the grave."
Movie's a fucking trip. I love that fucking movie.
Quite a
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's one of those ones that'll at least get you thinking,
Yeah.
even if it's not really your thing. Or
Yeah.
you're just like, I don't care. It'll at least make you wonder
Yeah.
what's going on.
I love time travel movies.
Yeah.
They're always fucking cool.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of wonderful time travel movies, we also watched Looper, which was released in 2012, directed and written by Rian Johnson, who is also the director of the newest Star Wars movie, in case anybody was wondering.
oh my god,
Starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Bruce Willis, and Emily Blunt. The plot synopsis basically, in 2074, when the mob wants to get rid of someone, the target is sent into the past, where a hired gun awaits, someone like Joe, who one day learns the mob wants to close the loop by sending back Joe's future self for assassination. when you guys told me about Predestination before we had watched it, it sounded exactly like Looper, and we loved Looper when it came out originally.
Yeah.
Me and Jake did. So we thought it would be fun to watch both and compare, because they're both about time paradox and one person existing in two time periods and then having to interact with each other.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think of this one?
I didn't like this movie as much.
I didn't either.
This movie was pretty predictable, I thought.
Yeah. It's definitely written more like a blockbuster, big, huge movie.
I think the action was better in this movie.
Yeah, the budget, as far as that goes, I think.
Yeah.
I don't really remember being that much action in it. They're mostly just like hiding out in that fucking farmhouse for a while. And then he just ends up killing himself to stop himself
Yeah.
from killing.
No, there wasn't
Target.
a whole crap load of action, but
It was more than Predestination, though.
yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit. What did you think, Haley?
I actually really liked it. There were some points in time where I was like, I thought more characters in the show were also Joe. But that was probably just because I had watched Predestination before. And then I was like, it's all Joe. All of it. It's all Joe.
All Joe.
Well, that's what was that was kind of a funny thing when her and I were watching this. Like by the end of the movie, both of us thought that Sid, or was that his name? Sid,
The kid.
the Rainmaker,
Yeah.
was John.
Seth
Joe.
was his name.
Seth? Is that what it was?
Oh, that's his buddy.
Oh, no, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it was Sid.
Yeah, Sid, the little kid, the Rainmaker.
Yeah.
We
you're
were
right.
thinking it was him.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And we were thinking that too. I remember that.
But everything that I could find, because of course with these types of movies, what do? You fucking go to Google and
Yeah.
try to figure out if your theories are right.
Yeah.
But from what I can tell, it wasn't him. But the interesting thing that made Haley and I think that it was Bruce Willis and I forget the actor's name.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, all the Joes, was that when Bruce Willis comes back in time, or rather gets sent back in time to be fucking executed, they're sitting at the table, and when they describe the Rainmaker, or when Bruce Willis describes the Rainmaker, he says that he takes out some boss single-handedly.
Yeah.
So when you start going through the movie, Bruce Willis kills fucking everyone.
Yeah.
And if he's referring to the same boss, who
Yeah.
is also just conveniently happens to be from the future, is he not the Rainmaker?
Yeah. And they never really answer that question. I think they leave it open to theory and interpretation.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense for it to be all the same person. But I kind of like that they left it open. You know, it's like then you get to wonder and you get to interpret it however you want to.
Yeah.
Which I think makes it interesting.
I can see that, but for some reason with this movie, I kind of disagree. Like, normally I like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Being left up for interpretation. I don't know about you guys, but obviously I think you do. But for this, it seemed kind of, I don't know, a little obtuse. Like, I think Haley and I were talking about this as well. Like, I think there's a really fine line between being cryptic in your storytelling, but in a good way, where everything wraps up and it's not too full of holes, and then being a little just like
Too open-ended.
not caring enough about it. And that's sort of where I thought he dipped into this.
Yeah.
you
There's
know?
a line between leaving it open for interpretation and just being lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least what comes across as lazy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's lazy. I mean, he's telling the story he wants to
it's
tell.
Quite a story.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it. What made you like it more though, Haley?
I really like the faster pace. Like, I like at the very beginning how he sits down at that coffee table and he just gives you a rundown of what he does. So you're already like, okay, I get it. I'm with it. And then I honestly grew to hate him throughout the show because I was like, God, this guy is so selfish and narcissistic, and I hated him. And then he has that final redemption moment of where he makes the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah.
which to me, I just like that.
Yeah,
I just love that redemption moment. Like that did it for me.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's what drew me to this movie, was like this long, drawn out, like, what the fuck, man? You're just pissed off at this dude, and he's just annoying the whole movie, and then redeems himself at the end.
I didn't like that he killed himself at the end. I thought it was stupid.
Daniel doesn't like redemption.
No.
I enjoyed that a lot. I remember being in the theater when it first came out, just sitting there with my jaw on the ground, like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That was a ride. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It ends up having a little bit more emotion, I guess, than Predestination did. It kind of, you care by the end. You know, you want him to redeem himself. You want him to be the hero, because he hasn't been.
Nope.
Unless you're Daniel. And
what
Predestination doesn't really have that. Predestination is a little bit of a colder interpretation of basically the same idea, which makes more sense. You know, it's like jumping through time, I would think would drive you crazy and kind of kill the humanity in you a little bit. So it makes sense that Predestination is so much colder, but I think as far as, you know, audiences liking it, I think audiences like a little bit more of a human, relatable factor.
Well, it was less confusing, too.
Yeah, it was.
Super less confusing.
And it was more of a human story, I thought.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of what I enjoyed about it.
It was about the kid, too. What was the kid? What was the kid's deal?
He was,
Why'd they want him dead? I don't remember.
He was the Rainmaker.
He's the
He was the
Rainmaker.
big boss in the future.
Yeah.
Which they don't actually verify that he is. You just have to assume he is based off of the crazy shit that kid can do. Can we just talk about how scary that kid is?
Right? I know.
Like if that kid came to me in a dark alley, I would piss my pants.
Right?
I'd be like,
I forgot. What can the kid do?
he's like
Telepathic or some shit, right?
He's super telekinetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? The TK?
Yeah.
I liked
TK
how they called it
mutation?
TK.
Yeah.
Because that indicates some, like, you know, like some culture in
It's
that
catchy.
world a little bit.
It's
you know?
catchy. You're like, oh, I like that. TK.
Yeah.
How about that classic Miata, bro?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Give
a
me
pretty
piece of
sweet
that.
part.
I love that.
So, I don't know. Maybe, like, for me at least, judging this movie was a little bit difficult coming off of Predestination. You know?
I saw this movie way before I saw Predestination.
So did we.
I saw this when it came out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said, like,
I also,
for me.
kids in movies kind of annoy me when they're like the kind of a pillar in the fucking movie, like critical to the role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Kid actors suck.
But
Yeah.
this one did really well, though.
I thought it was great.
Their presence annoys me.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I don't like...
Don't have kids, Daniel.
Get this
Don't
kid
think
out of
he's
my
planning
face.
on it.
I don't want to watch this kid.
I think there's exceptions, though, at least, right? Like,
Yeah, Terminator 2.
Yeah, Terminator 2.
Sixth Sense, I think.
I was just going to say The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, that's
What's
a
his
great
ass?
movie.
Fucking the kid
Haley
actor.
Joel Osment.
Yeah.
I see dead people.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Fucking delusional. Fucking psychiatric help. Crazy bastard.
Get this kid help.
I almost thought it would be better, though, to watch it another time once you have a little bit of context for everything.
Yeah.
But can we also talk about some of the weird sort of holes that are in this movie?
Yeah.
If anyone else has caught
The
some
loops.
of them. Yeah. So the big thing for me was that these guys are recruited in their present time, right? To kill these people sent back from the future because in the future it's almost impossible to dispose of a body.
Yeah.
Is that the reason?
Because they all have tracking tags.
Yeah.
Was that okay? Like
Yeah.
implanted in them or something like
Yeah.
that?
You got to send
Okay.
him physically back through time.
So they just boop.
But you really need to get rid of a body. Like,
Yeah.
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 You're going so hard.
Okay.
The lake won't do.
It's a way to dispose of them so they're never found again.
Yeah.
So here's my first, and this is really like kind of cynical of me, and I mean, take it how you want, but why the fuck don't they just transport them into an incinerator? Why in the world do they even need to use these middlemen in the first place? Because they can obviously transport them right in front of them at a specified spot, and then as soon as they appear, they're shot in the fucking chest and dead.
Yeah.
So why not? And then eventually they wheelbarrow their ass off to an incinerator and dump them in there. Couldn't they just teleport them into an incinerator?
Well, maybe it would be for the extra.
Or in the middle of the ocean? Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just saying maybe it's so that they have a little bit of insurance that they for sure know that person didn't get out, didn't escape somehow.
They have a witness.
They can travel through time, but they can't get rid of a body? Really?
Yeah.
What?
What kind of world has technology to do that? But you're telling me they can't get rid of a body?
Well, what's the tracking thing inside of?
I don't give a flying fuck. You can travel through time, but you can't get rid of a body.
And if these trackers are so like
time travel exists, they don't have a time travel tracking device.
Well, it's illegal, right? Time travel's illegal.
Yeah.
In the future.
Yeah, so it's getting rid of bodies apparently, but it's fucking.
Exactly. What were you about to say, Haley?
Oh no, I was just saying like it makes a little bit of a hole for me where I would think, okay, well, if these trackers are so powerful or whatever, so undefeatable, why can't they just track them into the past when they know that that's an option?
Yeah.
It's like
because maybe the technology doesn't exist in the past, therefore isn't usable. Right. I don't know.
Yeah. And that's sort of another thing. I think that's really
this world doesn't have temporal agents. You'd think with time travel they're gonna have some fucking time cops, Jean-Claude Van Damme running around doing the splits, kicking people in the head and shit.
You'd think, man. You'd think. But I think that's is it Rian Johnson or is it Ryan Johnson? Ryan. Okay. He spells it with an I, so that just tells you everything you need to know about this guy. He's just wrong.
Well, when you think about it, he directed the newest Star Wars movie, and in the newest Star Wars movie, they figure out how to track through light speed, so he figured it out.
He's this
finally.
guy. Oh.
So
That's great. That's great.
Took him.
He's like, in case anybody was wondering, I figured it out.
Different franchise, but he got it.
Yes.
He got there in the end.
I fixed the hole in my last movie with this movie.
Yeah, so
and then he just opened up a whole bunch of more plot holes in that fucking movie. Plot holes, Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson,
get your shit together.
Can't make a movie without creating more plot holes.
I think he likes him. I think it opens up the door for the story's never over.
Plot holes,
and I don't necessarily not plot holes, but like leaving an opening for further story or explanation. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing all the time.
No, not at all. I think it's more of a matter of opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Else. It depends on what you like and what you don't like.
It's not a bad
and obviously,
thing.
He likes that.
We're still talking about plot holes because plot holes are never good. Plot holes, you're just like, dude, that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah, no, I think we're talking about more the interpretive aspects of the movie. But speaking of plot holes, if we can go back to that for a sec, this wasn't so much of, maybe it's not a plot hole, but maybe it's just something that I went over my head. But how the fuck does Sid's mom know who the hell he is? How does she know about loopers?
Well, I got the impression that he's not the first one to come back and try to off Sid, her son.
If this kid is as powerful and as scary in the future as they allude him to be, they can't be the first ones that have tried to kill him. You know what I mean?
They just don't explicitly state that.
But I don't think you have to, do you? I mean, if they're doing it, it's very likely that they've tried it before. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't think that's too far-fetched.
Mom was like, God damn, another one of them time travelers trying to kill my son. I know he's gonna grow up to be a piece of shit, but
right? What the fuck did you do 30 years from now, you little asshole?
Right. So yeah, that maybe not so much of a plot hole, but that kind of thing, like
they don't explain it very well.
Yeah, and that also.
So wait, is the kid a piece of shit in the future?
Yeah.
He's a
So then why don't they just let him fucking die?
So the reason the kid becomes a piece of shit though is because Bruce Willis's character kills his mom in front of him, and then he gets on a train and tries to like raise himself and gets into a life of crime, just like
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. That dude. So that he could relate to.
So
the
that's
kid.
the catalyst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the catalyst is seeing his mother
So Joseph
die.
Gordon let it pretty much killing himself to stop himself from fucking killing the kid's mom.
Yeah.
Thinks he'll fucking,
Save the kid.
yeah.
Change the course of the future.
Bullshit. Kid's still gonna grow up to be a piece of shit. Got telekinesis and shit, man.
Yeah,
That's kinda what I
pretty
thought.
scary.
I'd be
Yeah.
a fucking piece of shit if I had telekinesis. I'd be fucking with everybody.
Yeah, there was one other thing as well that just slipped my mind. But I can't remember. Sorry.
Well, it's okay. We can come back to it if you
No
think about
worries.
it.
Must not have been important.
No. No.
I honestly thought that for a second we thought that when we thought that the kid was Joe, right? Sid was Joe. We were like, oh, did he just fuck his mom?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Because we were like,
That was a really good part. I was like, babe,
that's-
he just fucked his mom.
No.
I just fucked his mom.
I remember thinking that same thing, and and Predestination did the same thing. It's that
it
it's
for
a
real.
never-ending loop, and the dad is the kid and it just perpetually repeats itself and repeats itself. I
But he's
remember
not
thinking
kid,
the
right?
same
'Cause He
thing.
doesn't have any telekinetic powers.
They really don't say.
They don't say whether he does or not.
And I think there's a compelling argument for it because, let's assume that Sid is Joe. I mean, we don't know why his name changes.
Well, if he
one.
becomes a big crime boss, he could very well just change his name for protection of himself or from his past or whatever.
True. Fair point. So, I just lost my fucking train of thought again. Jesus Christ.
or do that the kid was so young when all of it had happened that he didn't remember who he was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if he was the same guy, he would have those telekinetic powers when he went back to fucking try to kill the kid's mom or himself.
Yeah, that's
Why
the
would you
whole-
go back in time to kill yourself as a kid?
That's the main thing that makes me think that it's not.
No, it's not the same guy.
Oh, okay.
Because you'd have telekinetic
That's a good
powers, you could
point.
just stop him from fucking moving. If he's trying to run away, you're just like, ah, mind force Jedi trick your bitch ass over here so I can shoot you in the face.
Or I don't know if they're the same person. Maybe they don't have control over themselves in that way. I don't know. It's like because they leave it so open, it could be for any number of reasons that he doesn't. You know what I mean? Can't control the kid because it's himself. Can't control. I don't know.
Well, at the beginning
You know what
of
I
the
mean?
show, they do mention he does say something about the TK and how he thinks it's tacky, how they're floating quarters and stuff, and
Yeah.
thinks they're dumb. So maybe he doesn't.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's kind of one thing I had forgotten about.
Yeah,
is
he
that
didn't like it.
Middle-aged Joe and old Joe
Yeah.
don't show any telekinetic powers.
Yeah.
Where the kid clearly has uncontrollable telekinetic powers.
Yeah.
So it's just so interesting because, especially the whole thing with the mom, I think a perfectly reasonable explanation as to how she knows who Joe is because she's seen these things happen over and over again, which plays in to another aspect of this movie where there's these memories that they have as loopers, and they aren't so much memories as much as they are possibilities.
Exactly.
Right? So maybe because the mom's mixed up in all of this, she knows who old Joe is, and even to an extent the middle-aged Joe,
Yeah.
because that's her son.
Yeah. She's
And
just
she's seen
throwing wrenches
this
and
happen.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, to play off your point too, that this can all be interpreted
Yeah.
differently, is maybe there was some sort of scenario where the exact thing happened in the movie where old Joe killed himself, or sorry, you know what I'm saying. Middle-aged Joe kills himself, kills off the old one as well, and then further on, Sid maybe loses his powers,
Yeah, it's possible.
or just quells them completely.
Yeah.
And maybe mentally blocks all the shit that happens because
Exactly.
in the house he fucking lifts all the furniture up, including that other looper, and I'm not really sure what happened, but he just starts bleeding,
Yeah.
right? And then there's blood all over the kid's face, so maybe it was traumatic.
Yeah.
So
It's almost
I
like he
actually like that
imploded.
point.
Sorry. It was almost like he imploded.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Or maybe
right?
it ceased to work after that. You know, it's like you're never really you don't know what happens to him after that, really. So it could be any number of him choosing to do it, or it leaving him for some reason, or there's infinite numbers of possibilities.
I would have really liked to see at the end just like a snapshot of what Sid's like as an adult.
Yeah.
Like just to, because you never get to see this Rainmaker boss.
Yeah.
Like you don't get to see where he is, who he looks like. I don't know. I would have liked like a little snapshot at the end.
That would have been a great last scene, like to have it be, to tell you that it's all the same person and just like have him doing shit or something. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
I would have liked that.
Have a slow turn moment, and it's Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, or both, or whatever.
But yeah,
or even if it's an entirely different character altogether. Just that final
it would have been a little
conclusion.
closure.
Yeah, closure.
Yeah, exactly.
It was Emily Blunt the whole time.
They stole her lady parts too.
Isn't it crazy though that the main characters in both Looper and Predestination, are these, renowned time jumpers, are so narcissistic. Like their characters, their character traits are almost identical.
Yeah.
In most scenarios.
Yeah.
Time travel makes you narcissist.
Yeah. I'm such a badass. You can't catch me. I'm in another time.
Well, and I think there is that big factor.
To the 60s and got fucking doing drugs and shit. Yeah.
Well, and there's that big factor they explain more in Predestination, but that, jumping through time drives him crazy. And narcissists, are a little not normal. Yeah. To be a narcissist, you're mentally kind of unstable.
Yeah,
so they could go hand in hand, the narcissism and the psychosis, because you're jumping through time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then at the beginning of Predestination, the girl, I guess she's already time jumped so many times, but she only time jumped that one time when she was a baby. Why is she such a narcissist?
I don't know. That's true.
Her physical being only did it once up until that moment, but she was always like that.
She's the creation of one person in two separate bodies, though. I mean, she's not normal.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what
true.
I mean?
That's true.
Yeah. Her mom and dad are her.
Yeah. Exactly. It's fucked up.
Which makes me think about our gene pool, right? What happens when you have a limited gene pool?
Craziness.
You start growing extra mouths on your fucking butt cheek.
I wondered about that too. Like, why wasn't it's like she mutated or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
that's
retarded
true.
or shit.
God,
but I think that's only a chance, right? It's not like a guarantee.
It's not guaranteed. It just raises it the closer you get.
Right.
Yeah.
Once you get to like second cousin, there's like no chance of.
Yeah, but if you're fucking yourself,
an
that's
asshole in your
the most incestuous thing you could
I fucking
technically
hate
ever
incest,
do.
dude. That was one thing.
Is that why you didn't like the movie?
Predestination. Oh fuck, incest. It's the. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
But is it really incest if you're fucking yourself?
That's the thing. I don't care. It
well,
sounds
you're
like
fucking
it.
yourself and your kid and your mom and your dad.
You're fucking
all
your whole
of
family.
all of it.
Fucking your whole
almost hot.
family. Oh my god.
Somebody's got mama issues.
Right?
I swear, dude. That's why part of the reason I have a tough time with Game of Thrones. That's the only fucking thing I can't stand. I get that it's part of the story and it just happens, but like fuck incest.
Whatever,
it's
man.
so fucking
Don't act
gross.
like you aren't down to watch some Cersei and Jamie fucking happen. All right.
He was so upset when Daenerys and Jon Snow had sex. He was like couldn't even deal with it.
Does it
I
make it
know.
better that they don't know?
upset.
I wanted to cry. I was like, no, it can't be true.
Does it make it better that they don't know?
Absolutely.
No.
They don't know, man.
Well, yeah, they don't know. But I
Dinkles
know.
knows him standing in the
Dinkles.
hallway.
No, Dinkle doesn't know.
Oh, he knows.
That
No.
scene where he's standing in the
knows.
hallway.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that they're related.
How do you know?
Maybe he's just in love.
Only Brad and fucking the fucking retarded fat guy.
But
know.
Tyrion drinks and knows things. We don't know if he doesn't know.
I think he's read the whole history of.
Well, and he's talking to
everything.
Varys all the time. Varys knows fucking
Varys
everything.
knows fucking everything. He knows.
Varys doesn't
I
know
think
that.
they're gonna reveal that
We're
he knows.
so off
We're
subject
getting
right now.
I brought up Game of Thrones. That was my fault.
Well,
Because of fucking incest.
Incest as much as it's disgusting, it's definitely prevalent in all of our histories.
Yeah, it's true.
It
yeah.
was
Because human beings are narcissistic as fuck.
yeah, right.
Or it was just different.
Gotta
Back
keep
in
those
those days.
bloodlines clean.
Like cultural standards change all the time. So if you think, 1,000 years ago,
I mean, I guess the definition would cover it. Sexual relations between two people classed as being too closely related to marry each other.
yeah. So if your DNA is the same, that is incestuous.
Yes.
Oh God.
The most incestuous, in my opinion.
Just had to do it.
All right. Well, we're getting off subject, so that might
What
be a
the
good
fuck?
place to end
That's
the
so
episode.
fucking weird.
That's what incest does to you. It makes your brain not work.
Yeah.
And you start to fucking fuck incest. God.
All right, we'll wrap it here.
Yeah. Yeah, I would suggest if you haven't watched them, watch them. They're great movies.
If you haven't watched them, we just
Yeah.
spoiled both movies for
Oh, yeah.
you. So.
But they're
But they're still
awesome.
good.
They're
would-
still fun to watch.
I would recommend Looper and then Predestination
Yeah.
so that you don't have higher expectations when you go to watch Looper.
Yeah. Well, and Looper came out first, so it's not watch them chronologically. Looper came out a few years before Predestination did. So
Maybe these movies are connected.
maybe
some
it's
weird
all.
way.
Maybe Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis are Ethan Hawke.
Oh.
Oh,
Bum, bum,
fuck.
bum.
All right, we'll leave you with that food for thought. Thank you for listening. This has been the 1st/3rd episode of So Not Critics. Thank you all for being here today. I love you all.
Bye.
Rick, bye-bye.
Hasta la vista.